What if the United Kingdom broke up? While the answers to this simple question remain in the realm of speculation, the question is by no means speculative. It is real. However, because it has not happened, all answers to be given will eventually be put to the test when the Union eventually broke up. We have looked into intrigues, agitations, and lobbying within the Union, comparing them with the current state of things and the United Kingdom's foreign policy. From this, we present in this video an insightful view and knowledgeable analysis of the question, what if the United Kingdom broke up? Please feel free to weigh in the thoughts in this video vis-à-vis your understanding of the issue and tell us what you feel about them later. The nature of the debate and calls. Does the question really make any sense? Well, developments in international diplomacy, especially after Brexit, have heightened already growing nationalism within the UK. At the moment, factors such as the exit of Britain from the European Union have thrown up the possibility of a broken up, but not Balkanized kingdoms out of the country. A clear indication is Scotland's independence referendum. Is another one not possible? No one can say yet with a definite degree of certainty. Also, London is already torn between being the capital of England and the capital of the United Kingdom. Similarly, it's challenging for London to strike a balance between being a capital city and a global city. All of these have been fanning the flame of uneasiness within the whole UK. Not to be ignored also is the Northern Ireland peace process that remains fragile. The effects of past and future elections, the change in political leadership, and the nation's foreign policy are all subjects of unending passionate debates. Even if it seems that the UK is not about to die, debates bordering on the economic viability of an independent Scotland and proponents of a united Ireland may result in shocking developments for the sceptics. Scotland after the UK. Well, this discussion is not about how certain or uncertain such a breakup is. We're only interested in what will likely follow when and if it actually happens. Now, we want to tilt the discussion to how might the post-UK countries fare and relate to the rest of the British Isles, European nations, and the wider world if the UK broke up. So let's start with Scotland for now. We're doing so because calls for the dissolution of the country UK appear to be louder in Scotland. So, what becomes of an independent Scotland? Actually, there is a video on this channel that deals with the topic of what happens if Scotland leaves the UK. You're encouraged to see the video and explore different possibilities. We appreciate your comments on the video, please. But for now, let's tell you one or two effects that the breakup of the UK might have on Scotland. Well, if you need to remember the UK's nuclear weapons that are currently based in Scotland, would these be a gain in a post-UK Scotland? Also, Scotland would want to stop living under the shadows of England as they both were once separate monarchies. A drive toward that may move an independent Scotland to consider returning to the EU. Economically, Scotland will have come down humbly as its GDP as a different country would be less than 10% of that of England. This therefore still begs the question of economic viability. A stronger Ireland. If the UK broke up, Northern Ireland would have to eat the humble pie and embrace the peace process that would facilitate a united Ireland. Remember, Northern Ireland hasn't always been part of the United Kingdom. Before 2021, when it was created as a separate legal entity under the Government of Ireland Act 1920, it was part of Ireland. It was in 1922, after the Irish War of Independence, that the majority of Ireland succeeded and became an independent Irish Free State. Thus, Northern Ireland would have to choose between two options. It is either it embraces the challenge of starting off as an independent nation or returns like a dog to its vomit, joining with Ireland to strengthen the Republic of Ireland, if that remains the official name. If it remains an independent nation, it will be among the poorest, with a GDP of less than £40 billion. Whichever option it chooses, a post-UK Northern Ireland is likely to return to the EU. One certain thing is that there has been a resistance movement in Ireland for years, and many of those with the sentiment are still alive. This is likely to lead to a stronger Ireland if Southern and Northern Ireland are able to negotiate a pact. How Wales would fare. In the event of a breakup of the United Kingdom, Wales will come to the realisation that it's more challenging than beneficial for it to part with England. Thus, it may remain bound to England for some time and form something like the Kingdom of England and Wales. After all, Wales has been recognised as a principality and had long united with England before Scotland and Ireland joined them. But in case Wales chooses to leave, it is likely to join the EU for some kind of protection and will be one of the poorest countries in the Union, just like an independent Northern Ireland. However, with a population of over 3 million and a GDP over 50 billion, it would be a strong nation. In a nutshell, the least expected element of the death of the UK is the succession of Wales. England the morning after. Now, what would happen to the mighty England from whom other nations want their independence? How would a likely post-UK England behave as just a country in the world? What will be the economic and political relationship of the rest of the British Isles with the country England, which currently is about 85% of the UK? How secure would Great Britain remain? Would the rest of Europe and former UK countries find themselves facing a sinking England, sliding into an isolated power, or derided Little England, having been humiliated by the end of the UK? Will the world see England inheriting its former claims, capabilities and liabilities as a Little Britain? Several issues are involved in addressing all those possibilities. British or English? The first one is the process of England's emergence as a power and how its foreign policy might be shaped. Please note that for many outside the UK, Britain, the UK and England often refer to the same geographical and political entity, even though this is much to the annoyance of many within the UK. England has up until now, by body language, not rejected that notion. London has officially performed its role as the capital of the UK. It will be a serious challenge within England and for Europe and the whole world when England starts to shed toga and re-emerge as a clearly defined separate political unit. Uncertainty will remain about what's English and what's British when the process of dissolution of the UK begins and when the UK is dead. England's losses and gains. Another issue is what England will inherit and retain. This also affects the experiences of the other three countries. Let's look at these legacies in terms of material, constitutional and ideanational. Well, England would have no issues maintaining and even increasing its GDP of around 1,433 billion, which is some 85% of the UK's for now. In fact, it'll have one of the top 10 economies in the world. Also, it could lay claim to the vast majority of the UK's military capabilities, even though it might lose the UK's nuclear weapons that it has invested heavily into since it is currently based in Scotland and there's yet no alternative location in England. It will have other challenges. Its status in many international organisations will have to be redefined. For instance, can England inherit the UK Parliament seat on the United Nations Security Council? Much of these issues will depend on how other nations, including the former members of the UK, feel. Other permanent members, for example, might be unwilling to countenance reform of the council setup. England might also be saddled with the responsibility for the former UK's remaining overseas territories. Many of the legacies of empire, commerce, exploration, science and culture might remain with England. Some of these, such as racism and exploitation, are negative. It would mean a lot more for England in terms of the constitution and foreign policies. But then, it would not take an eternity for England to shake it off and get on with life after drinking many cups of tea. So what do you think will happen if the United Kingdom broke up? Will events unfold as described in this video? Please, let's have your comments and thoughts on this. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.